Welcome to where the furniture isn't always the best, but them views, they are amazing.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 13th floor where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are amazing. I am your moderator, B. Jones, and we got that guy fresh with the intro music. What's happening, baby?
You know, it's
You
big
know what
things
time
going
it is,
on
we hear
today.
that. You know what time it is.
It's big things going on today, ladies and gentlemen. But yes, we are here live in quarantine. Your boy B Fresh. If y'all ain't been tuning into the live, y'all missing out. But other than that, man, we here. We surviving. Let's do it.
Yes, man. Check the lives. DJ Barry Be Fresh, man. We share them joints as soon as we know he's going on. My dog gets funky now, so don't sleep. DJ Barry Be Fresh. Follow him on IG. Catch the Instagram lives for the fresh vibes, and we in there. Coach K, what's going on, sir?
Nah, man, cut that, man. Don't play that for me,
game
man.
time.
No,
baby.
you were in
Man.
Chicago, man. You literally just sent me a picture in front of this man's house,
I
and
know.
now you got the disrespect, not even wanting to be able to get fired up on the intro.
Nah, man. Listen, man. There is no question. I am a Miami Heat fan, supporter. I remember our first season, all that good stuff, man. Chicago, it's great and everything, but
Man, there are
Don't
plenty
be
of
a hater, bro.
Michael Jordan fans that have it has nothing to do with Chicago Bulls at
Right.
all. It is being a fan
you're
of the
right.
man. But
This
hey,
has to do with me.
hey, as usual, against the grain.
Yeah, let me be selfish.
Bro, so what? Was Miami Heat an expansion team or something like that?
I
Yeah,
believe so.
yeah,
I believe so. Yeah,
it was.
we were an
wow, I had
expansion
no
team.
idea.
Yeah,
Yep. What year was that? That had to be like 87,
yeah, it was
88,
something like
one of
that.
those.
Oh yeah, y'all. Not the best timing in there. My dad's a huge Miami Heat fan as well. He got this big poster of what's the guard? Not Dwayne Wade before him. Hardaway.
Tim Hardaway?
Tim
baby.
Hardaway. Yeah. Got a big poster of Tim Hardaway hanging up there. So he's a big Miami Heat fan too.
Yeah, but I'm good, man. I'm here, man. Just still living through this COVID stuff, man.
Man, so let's talk about that real quick. Funny story. Before we get into this last dance jazz. So I had like the biggest COVID scare probably what was that Sunday. So Monday going into Tuesday. Tuesday, everything was all great, gravy. I was ready to shoot the podcast and everything. But Monday, man, I woke up Monday morning, my body was like dumb sore. And I couldn't remember doing anything workout related that should have had me this sore. Yeah, I did some push-ups and some sit-ups or whatever. I changed the oil and the brakes on my cars on Sunday, but nothing that I would think that would have me waking up this sore on Monday morning. Top it off, I had this crazy headache or whatever. So I'm thinking, man, I got symptoms. I done mess around and caught some stuff out here. So that's all going through my head. So Monday was pretty much like a dead day for me. Like I just went back to sleep, tried to sleep some of it off. I felt like it might have been a head cold because I washed my hair Sunday too or whatever. And it's still kind of drafty in Maryland. But I went to sleep for a little while, woke up later that afternoon and still wasn't feeling quite right. Went out, me and Chris went for a walk. I did a little jogging, some stretches or whatever, trying to loosen the muscles up. And I'm in full Under Armour gear, full Under Armour, trying to warm up everything, get loose, stretch everything out or whatever. And then get back and then just jump in the bath to try to continue to relax the muscles so I can stretch and everything. And while I'm in the bath, I just start having these crazy like visions, dreams or whatever, just start really thinking about life because I'm thinking that I'm really sick or whatever. And, it's like I'm fighting off and telling Chris, I don't want to go to the hospital. I'm good. Just let me, try to, work this thing out, see where it goes. But I'm thinking like, man, if I really am sick and I end up falling into the category of some of these young folk that actually do like pass from this thing, where is my family going to be left? You know what I'm saying? So I'm running through things in my head. I was, okay, yeah, I took care of all my life insurance stuff, so we good. I got my nest egg, so everybody will be taken care of. I feel like I've made considerable progress towards many of my goals this year. So it's not like if I have to go out in in the next week or two, I'm not leaving, you know what I'm saying, anything on the table. Everybody should be taken care of. And then Tuesday morning, I woke up feeling great.
Wow.
But I mean, just imagine running through all of them emotions or whatever in your head, going through all of that stuff. Like it's anxiety, stress, or whatever, and for the most part, for no reason, but easily to fall into that. So that's my COVID-19 update. I don't know what you guys might have.
Please, world, don't have his same story. Like, don't don't get swept away because you got a headache and you're sore from changing the oil on 2 cars and doing all other kind of stuff. But you know your body shouldn't be sore because you worked out and you changed the oil on 2 vehicles. It breaks. Did you say brakes too?
Yeah, and break.
But yeah, man, that is crazy. I can definitely see how that would be quite a roller coaster ride. But yeah, man, I would say don't be so quick to slip into
Right.
I got COVID.
So I'm gonna tell you, it don't have anything to do with COVID, man. It has to do with you getting older.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome to getting older, where just randomly you'll just have stuff like that happen, and you'll be like, man, what did I do? Like, what happened? And oh man, I'm gonna die. And then next day you're just fine.
You know, you are gonna have conversations where you are going to give up on limbs. Gonna be like, man, I guess my hip is just like this is what it is. From now on, I got this weird hip feeling, and I'm gonna have to do like every
Yep.
third step is gonna be this weird thing. It just is gonna be what it is. A couple months down the line, it's gonna go away. But in that moment, for that time, you are gonna have that come to Jesus
In your
talk where
head,
it's
you can
just
be like,
like,
oh man, this is the ailment. This is the
yep,
thing that's gonna make me take disability
I'm never
early.
gonna throw. Yep,
Blah
I'm
blah
never gonna throw a
blah.
baseball again.
Yep.
Even though I ain't thrown a baseball in 20 years, now I can't do it anymore. So it's a real big deal now, and I feel like it's over. But then it's gonna be like, oh, a couple months later, you're like, oh, I thought my shoulder was dead.
Yep.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
It doesn't.
I'm not willing.
That's the thing about it. Like, it doesn't matter. None of us ever were ready. We just fell into the category of like,
Yep.
where I'm at now.
There's a way. There's somebody out there that's gonna help me fight this, and we're gonna team up and be great.
Good luck. Good luck with that.
Yeah, man. So we got The Last Dance, man. I finally caught up on episodes 5 and 6, following Michael Jordan and his rise, I guess, to prominence and fade to black all at the same time. Before we get into the last couple of episodes, for me, I never grew up really watching Michael Jordan. So it's like one of those things where he's great. You hear all the accolades. You've seen some of the spectacular stuff. But this dude really was like nasty, like on the basketball court. And just watching some of the stuff that he's doing through the highlights, and then seeing his attitude and everything that they talk about in the books and stuff, it's really eye-opening, man. I'm glad to be able to like catch all of this these historic moments, especially now when you got some assimilation of like downtime or whatever in between. Right. But yeah, that piece is just my main appreciation.
Kudos to ESPN and Jordan for being smart enough to drop. They pushed it forward to go ahead and drop it now, because I think it wasn't even supposed to come out until the end of the year or something like that. But yes, I did live through the Jordan years, and it's funny because while I've always been into sports, I've never been like a fanatic about sports. And so, but I remember like Jordan. That's why I can say Jordan is like the greatest pure basket. Like when you're talking basketball, like win it personality ever to witness playing the sport, just because his killer instinct and his will of LeBron may have like all of the physical and like, digital mental attributes of being, the best physical and able to do things, at the a better level in a sense. But you talk about the killer instinct and the desire and the force to win and to make sure I will win at any cost necessary. There's never been a player who has put it on the line and done it when it counted the most so much. Like it was crazy to experience what was going on. And now rewatching those moments, it brings me back to when I was a kid, but it also reminds me of just how dominant he was, and that it was like such a he took stuff. He you know what I mean? Like he went out there to get it and wasn't focused on anything else.
So it's funny, man. Like, yeah, I agree with what both of you said. He was a great basketball player, uh, killer instinct, dominated on the court. But I think when you throw everything into the one thing and that thing defines you, you don't have a choice. Like you're gonna kill it. You're gonna dominate. And I think for me, I think he missed an opportunity to be not just a great basketball player, but an icon, like just a world icon, aka like a Muhammad Ali, right? Muhammad Ali is a world icon. It doesn't matter where you go, people recognize Muhammad Ali for what he did. And I think it was because
out of the boxing ring, as well as inside the boxing.
Correct. And I think it's because he didn't come out and say, you know what, I'm a boxer. That's it. I'm not getting involved in any of this other stuff because I'm a boxer. And if you look at the people that have, I don't count Colin in that conversation because he wasn't recognized as the greatest in his sport. So the sacrifice that he made isn't looked at with the same reverence as like a Muhammad Ali. But you still have to say, okay, this guy gave up a career that many people give up everything for. So I think from a Jordan perspective, I don't like what he kind of represents, which was the same thing they did to LeBron. What was that, last season, where they said, man, just go out there and be a basketball player. Go out there and play ball. Mm-hmm. And then now he came out with the hashtag more than a basketball player. Mm-hmm. So from that standpoint, I think what type of example has been put out there, right? So when we were younger and, we were fascinated by Michael Jordan, we didn't know, okay, well, how could he really be using his platform? Mm-hmm. And granted, since basketball, especially in the last 5 to 6 years, he's done a lot of philanthropic stuff. His last season of basketball, he actually donated to his whole salary to charities that were working for 9/11. Mm-hmm. Right. So that 01, 02, I think was his last season. He gave all that money towards 9/11 stuff. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people don't know things like that. Mm-hmm. But I still think there was a greater cause that he could have pushed if he didn't just look at himself and conduct himself as, I'm just a basketball player, and basketball players, if you're going to be the best, you got to win championships. And that's it.
Yeah, they talked about one of those points. I think it was a governor race in North Carolina, Jesse Helms versus Harvey Gantt.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, that's one of those things. And, just with the impact that he may have been able to have there. So you can give Jordan, a good dose of, blame for that, because I don't think back then it's a different NBA, right? So the social responsibility, I guess that was looked at, I guess, as far as entertainers are concerned. And you guys tell me if I'm wrong, because I was a lot younger then. I don't know if that same sense existed in the early 80s and 90s when he was at his heyday, it does now, given the height of social media and people's brand, and it reflecting more of a social responsibility aspect than just what tickets or endorsements you can have.
I mean, Fresh, you have Muhammad Ali.
Fresh, before you drop your point, I just got to put out there, I like how he acts like we were the same age back then that we are now. Like,
I mean, like I said, coming on, I didn't really watch Jordan, and I was like 10 years old at that time. So,
one, I mean, look, we've had this discussion on the show before. It's not everybody's responsibility to be an activist or to be, regardless of their status, or like, it ain't for everybody. Everybody is not built like that. And I think, don't get me wrong, of course I wish Jordan was more Muhammad Ali and less, Michael Jordan, in the sense of all you can take. Well, I won't say all you can take, but the key of Jordan and looking at what he did is about his, like you said, his unwillingness to sway from his focus of being the best and winning and going after it, and like really putting his all into his craft, which there are a lot of basketball players who say they've done the same thing, you know what I mean, have done it as far as putting their all into it. However, they have not been able to accomplish what he accomplishes, what he has accomplished, which shows his greatness. But I think we had started to have the conversation before where I think that to me, in a sense, sways my thought process on who's greater, Jordan or LeBron, as far as, and I don't even know how to describe that. I don't want to say as a basketball player, because I still think Jordan's, but in the totalitarian of being a sports icon, I guess, is a better way to kind of say it, just because LeBron is able to take that stance, well, has taken that stance and is speaking out on injustices. But going back to talking about back in the day, if you look at the way the NBA was shaped back then, they didn't really allow for you to be outspoken in a sense like that. They didn't want that kind of stuff going on. Doesn't mean he couldn't have done it, because he still was the the baby of the, you know, the superstar of the league. But at the same time, if you look at, like, look how much Iverson got chastised for not wanting to wear suits and things of that nature. You know what I mean? Like, they were going hard, and like David Stern was a real D when it came to not being good old boys in a sense, and like, you know what I mean, dress nice and do all of that kind of stuff. So they definitely wouldn't have wanted him going against the grain.
They wouldn't have, but would they have let him do it? I mean, look, it's deep, man. Like, you couldn't even. Let's talk about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You know what I mean? They didn't want him to change his name.
Yeah.
And he was already doing social activist type stuff, right? Like, he was there with Muhammad Ali, just like a Jim Brown was, and some other folks, right? That backed him up. I can't remember the dude's name, man. I only remember Sharif
Abdul Rahim.
Yeah, I can't remember what his name was before he changed it, but look what
Yes.
look how all of a sudden this dude just disappeared when he changed his name, right? They even talked about Craig Hodges, who was on the first two championship teams, had won 3 all-star three-point contests in a row. So at that point, he's probably like, okay, so he's not Steph Curry nice, but with, as far as a pure
He's
shot,
at least a role player. He's at least a well-deserved role player.
right? And just because this dude said, "Hey, Mike and Magic, what do you guys think about boycotting the first game of the finals so that we can draw attention to what's going on in the Black communities?" Mike was just like, "Man, you crazy, man. Get out of here with that." And then Magic was just like, "Hey, man, I think that's too extreme of an action." Right. And it's like, okay, well, wait a minute. What type of extreme stuff is happening to us? Like, don't you think it warrants that? And then after that second year, after the championship, like, my man just faded because he was trying to bring attention.
No, he did not just fade. This man was never picked up to another. He was
right
on a championship team, had just won the 3-point contest for the third time in a row, and the next year nobody picked him up. Not that he faded out, they just canceled him.
No, he was Kaepernick.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Right.
That's what it sounds like. So you got people, so MJ and even Magic at the time, faces of the league, making business decisions. So it boils down to these choices, you know, that they ultimately have to make. And it's a hit on their leadership, you know what I'm saying, credibility. I think it's hard when you in that position to have, I guess, a little bit more integrity. You know what I'm saying?
Well, but to me, it's also one of them things, like, I feel like we put so much on people, because it's not like they still don't do philanthropic activity, right? And
Mhm.
so it's like with me, don't get me wrong. I wish they were, again, Muhammad Ali and a lot more passionate in, especially in the power that they have. But at the same time, I don't feel like it's valuable in the sense to chastise them just because it's like, yo, but you didn't not play that first playoff game. You didn't, you know what I mean? You should have stood up for that senator and made sure that black people went out there and voted and all this other stuff. Where it's like, yeah, that would have been great, but at the end of the day, is that really their responsibility? Is that
It's
really
it's
like?
it's not it's not
But
the
it is.
responsibility. And he made a campaign contribution, but you could have not donated a single dollar, and just you saying, hey, please take a look at this guy and consider voting for him. That would have done wonders.
I am not
And
disagreeing
and,
with you at
and,
all,
and
my
that and
brother.
that wouldn't have taken him not
However,
10 minutes.
yeah, but however, everybody is not on that wave. We know brothers ourselves who are not, like, while they understand and know that we are an oppressed people, they still are not the ones in the front line to talk about the injustice when they see somebody getting called the N-word at Walmart. You know what I mean? Where
Right.
it's like, I get you. I'm not trying to disagree with you in the fact that, like, yo, that would have been dope and like that. But at the same time, I do understand the reality of some dudes ain't built like that. That ain't their focus. That ain't their thought process. And it's like, yo, in Jordan's eyes, in a weird sense, it's like, Diddy has a great line. It's a Bentley to you, but to me, it's a blue car. In Jordan's eyes, you're like, yo, he's a superstar basketball player, but to him, he's like, yo, I play basketball as a job. It's no different than working at McDonald's. Like, that's just my job. You know what I mean? I want to do it well and be the best ever at doing it, but I'm not Malcolm X. I'm not Martin Luther King. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, while I understand I have this power and everything, that wasn't my focus, was not popularity in my pursuit, right? My focus was just on being the best. All of this other stuff came as a bystander of me on this pursuit, but that I didn't want to be here to be, to be an activist or to, lead people on this. Like, yo, I just wanted people to say, yes, that guy is the best basketball player I've ever seen in my life.
You know, I get it, man. And look, nobody was asking for this dude to become, dude, start this political activism and after the NBA, become a political figure. But you had the most leverage of anybody to this point, right? Because what were they going to do to you? They were making way more money than they would lose. They were making way more money, and they weren't going to be willing to say, Michael Jordan, you're suspended because of blah, blah, blah. No. He was too big, right? And he would have opened up the door for so many more people. Like, where would we be at this point? So I think about when the Trayvon stuff went down, right? Remember when the Heat
Yep.
came out and they had their hoodies on, and then you saw some other teams doing it, and it was okay, but still people were just like, "Oh man, why are they doing that?" Blah blah blah. We could be so much further, and it's not like he didn't have the time, right? Spend less time gambling, bro. Like, and you could have got us some major wins doing that. But look, I get it, man. But just for the fact that you can look at LeBron just last year, I think he made 31 million off of his NBA salary. He spent 51 million on the school and then doing stuff for the kids even after the school was built. Like, that's just huge, man. And just to have folks that still, talk trash about him. Nah, man, but he ain't got to kill you. He's not out here. He doesn't have 6 championships and blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, he's going to have more impact than Michael Jordan ever had when you measure his legacy.
And that's what I think the difference is between Mike and LeBron, because Mike, he had to have known how much power he had. I mean, Look at what he did at the Olympics, where he hides the Reebok logo. You know what I'm saying, with the American flag.
But
And
look at why he did that. He did that because it was his brand and doing what he like. It was focused on again. It was like, yo, he's a businessman. That's all he thought. I'm at work. This is my job. I'm not about to show anybody else's brand or whatever. Like, yo, his guys was always on that work.
but if that's the case and he's the company guy, then the company's logo is Reebok, not Nike. So
Not his
again,
company. Not his company.
right. So he understands the power that he has and the leverage that he has, because the league, he's the meal ticket. You know what I'm saying? Arenas are selling out in places like Atlanta, where the team has been not great for a long time. But Michael shows up, they can't find tickets. So
Hey, selling out in Indiana at the time before they was great.
right. So when you have an understanding of the power that you have and the leverage that you have, you wield it. And I think that's where he misses the mark. So for as great as a basketball player he is, greatest of all time, better than LeBron, better than a lot of folks that he may be compared to, like Carol was saying, when you go to measure the men, for their works, and even if LeBron's 51 million on that school wasn't all his money, because I'm sure somebody will throw that out there to try to pin it down, just the fact that he's putting that school into place and it can be copied and recreated in other spaces. These are the things, these are the lasting impacts that we kind of want to see from those in power. Now, to your point, Fresh, he can be as selfish as he want to be. He a grown man. That's his prerogative. It just doesn't look or help us as a people move forward if that is the collective goal.
I do
But
just
we
want to make the
also,
addendum. He does do philanthropic stuff though. I don't
he
want to make
does,
it seem like he doesn't do
Does. He does.
anything
He does.
he does.
philanthropic. He
He's
does.
opened up a couple clinics in Charlotte. I think he may have one that he opened up here in Chicago. So not taking that away from him.
And
I'm
this
just
is
saying,
recent stuff. You know what I'm saying?
based
And
on what you
people.
commanded
Go ahead.
worldwide,
Yeah,
there's probably a whole lot more you could have done.
exactly.
And probably kept yourself out of
I'm
some
about to
trouble.
say that sneaker money alone could change.
Bruh, it's like nobody has a shoe like that.
I
Like
think I think I
LeBron's
think
shoe
a
ain't gonna never
billion
be like that.
dollars last year, something crazy like that.
And it's gonna keep doing that. But one of the other side to that coin is something that we speak to quite often when we get into these, celebrities as leaders things. And that Jesse Helms versus Harvey Gantt situation in North Carolina is a prime example, because although Michael Jordan isn't up rallying for Harvey Gantt to win this election, I'm pretty sure the people of North Carolina, well, I can't say I'm pretty sure. There should have been efforts to mobilize that voter base, especially with Jesse Helms, who they were portraying him to be in the documentary. If all of this stuff was known at the time, then there should have been a greater effort, especially from those who live under that type of oppression, to want to change that.
Yep.
Very true. But I mean, again, it was way different. Like way different times back then. The 80s. What?
Yeah,
Like
but I mean,
thought process, the thought process and the visibility and the true understanding of what us as a people are capable. You still had people who didn't think it was possible to like own stuff, you know what I mean, back then, especially like in them rural south places like that. They had no clue what was really going on.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. And look, I get it, man. But again, that's why I say when people try to make the measurements, who's the GOAT? Is it LeBron? Is it MJ? Listen, goats are pack animals. You don't just see just one goat and you don't see 2-3 others with them. They run in a herd. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. But there's so much more. And look, I look forward to watching the rest of The Last Dance, which for all intents and purposes, I don't know why they called it The Last Dance. It's not just about the last season. We going all the way back to people's childhood, and not just his, but
Well,
Dennis Rodman's, Phil Jackson's. I'm just
if you want to know, they're calling it The Last Dance because it is the last champ. It's really the whole thing is centered around the last championship.
I
That's
understand
what they
that.
keep on
I
coming back
understand
to.
that, but we're talking about the whole
It's a
thing.
documentary, though.
They could have just
That's what
called
a
it a.
documentary does.
Listen, man, you don't work for ESPN.
Yes, I do on the
You work on the
side, man.
13th floor. And they
Gee,
could have just called that joker the dance.
but it's the last one.
They could have just called it the dance, and nobody would have said a word. Nobody would have said, "Why did you just call it the dance?" We understood.
Well, there's only one person who said why they call it the last dance.
And that's fine. And I'm good with it.
Oh man, I think that the biggest thing from all of that for me is looking for leadership in places other than yourself. And am I
Not just
frozen
that,
or
not pigeonholing yourself into this is what I am. Yeah,
yeah,
this is
man.
this is where you're using your gift, right?
Yeah.
Right? Your gift of competition. So what would it have been like if you would have used your competitive desire to advance your people? I want to see my people compete because I got a competition problem. You ain't have a competition problem when it came to your people.
Questions? We're gonna have to leave that one right there. Big Dog Fresh, we got to come to you for this week's Fresh Ovation.
Nah, man, we we
Oh,
we, we, we
we
gotta
have.
we gotta hit on something else real quick, man. I know we're not prepared, but we gotta talk about this Ahmaud Arbery thing in Brunswick. Um, just sad, man. Another just random, what appears to be senseless act of violence with no repercussions. Um, man, like when does it stop?
Well, for those of you who are not familiar with the story, uh, a little over a month ago, there was a
This was back
black
in
gentleman,
February.
January. He was running through his own neighborhood, going out for a morning jog, when two guys in a pickup truck with weapons, try to stop him several times, and then finally do get to stop him, come running up on him with a shotgun drawn. For whatever reason, he is trying to defend himself and kind of runs up on the guy with the shotgun, and they shoot him and kill him in the middle of the street. And all of this is recorded.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even run up on the guy. It looks like he was trying to run to avoid them. So he ran on the other side of the truck, and then the guy met him on the other side of the truck. Anyway, long story short, one person's dead, and there's two people that are just out there in its own video. Um, Look, if you haven't seen it, you can see it because people are sharing the video, which to me just it blows my mind that somebody actually recorded this that wasn't allegedly, premeditated, but there was somebody posted up to record it because my man was jogging. So, but it's been frustrating. And what's more frustrating is that there are people out there that don't think this type of stuff happens, right? So like you guys know, I've been asked to move to Jackson, Mississippi, and I was like, nope, not
Not
going
doing
to
it.
happen. What'd you say?
Not doing it.
Not doing it. I've been asked to move to Birmingham, Alabama. Nope, not doing it. I don't care what you tell me as far as money and responsibility.
The
It's just
risk
not
is not
happening.
worth the reward.
And people don't understand why I take these stances and I'm so finite about where I will and where I won't go. But we know, those of us that are of the darker persuasion, we know, look, this stuff is still out there. What does it take for the majority to recognize it and address it? I just don't understand.
So, unfortunately, we all know how this story is going to end just based on the evidence, right? So you got this black guy running. There's somebody randomly recording this event. I'm struggling to buy that because it just doesn't really make sense. And I want to say I hear a gun cock in that video inside the truck car, but that's my speculation. But you got this video showing the dude runs around the truck, and then you can't really see or make out much of anything, but apparently it could be perceived that he runs towards the guy with the shotgun. So the first thing people are gonna ask is like, so what makes this guy think that he's gonna win this battle running up against somebody holding a shotgun? What kind of sense does that make? And then the guy holding the shotgun, I don't know what stand your ground laws they have in Georgia, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case. And we talking about former law enforcement. So the system is already been at work because the guy was never charged, never brought in. They got their questions or whatever, or gave their account of what happened, but was never charged. I don't think he will be charged even after the grand jury thing goes. So it's another fail by the system in a case where these dudes were on vigilante justice. They were explicitly told by the 911 operator to let the police handle it, and they take it into their own hands. And unfortunately, the way the system is set up, they fully justify, or there won't be any repercussions as far as we're concerned. And it's very frustrating. It's very tiring. It's like I'm glad you brought it up, Carol, but it's like I get so sick of talking about these things. I mean, me and Fresh was talking about it yesterday because there's only one kind of sort of real answer, and that's you got to change the system. You know what I'm saying? You got to get, politically and actively involved within that system to even start to move the wheels of change. But without that, this stuff is just going to continue to happen. So it takes this to be the catalyst to have something like what happened in Ferguson, where you have a whole political regime change, which is, could happen in this northern part of Georgia. But we'll just have to wait and see. But unfortunately, I think that we already know how this all
Brunswick.
ends.
Brunswick is southeast Georgia. Like
Oh, I thought it was
literally
northern Georgia.
No, it's southeast Georgia. It's literally like maybe 45 minutes to an hour past Jacksonville.
Yeah. So you already know what goes on in those parts. So yeah, it's just sad, man. And then it's a family loss. They're gonna probably try to demonize his character because he had some prior convictions or run-ins with law enforcement or whatever. So I saw that come up in an article. So no telling how that gets its spin.
Well, the shooter's an ex-cop. I mean, it's
right. So it's just set up.
Yeah, it's just and it's just crazier to think like this happened in January. Like it's not like this was something that happened last week though. You know what I mean? Right. That is like this has happened a long time ago, and the only reason this tape is out now is just like their lawyers trying any way to try to get some type of justice because otherwise nobody's caring. It doesn't seem like.
Nope, you're right, man. But listen, man, it's just one of those things where let's see what happens, right? Let's unfortunately, like you said, Brett, we know how these things end. We know what happens, and right now, we have no expectation of it being different.
No, but what I do think should be the charge is whatever can be done to change it the next time this happens. So whatever efforts there are going on in Brunswick, if we happen to, find some of these things, we can get them up and out there to the people. But this is why civic involvement is so important, because otherwise these situations don't really happen. You know what I'm saying? When you have the infrastructure in the place, but when we lack the infrastructure, we lack activism or involvement to create that infrastructure, we're left to deal with, the cards that we dealt. And this happens far too often. I mean, it's upsetting as a black man to see another black man just get gunned down unnecessarily for fucking exercising. Like,
but not even that. We know every single day, we know it could be any one of us.
That's the thing I'm about to say.
At any given time.
Yep.
And it's like, well, what do? You just feel so powerless.
Yeah. What's the safeguard for that?
Knowing that there's no way to control it.
And it's like you almost have to swallow your pride and your manhood in them situations because like me walking back to the house because I had to park my car away from the apartment, but I got on a hoodie. It's raining. I got my locks hanging out or whatever. So if somebody were to drive up to me and ask or say anything out of the way, I can't even respond as I would like to, you know what I'm saying, to, I guess, give some type of testosterone to show you I am a man about mine, because I don't know what this person's agenda is. You know what I'm saying? I might just be next on the hit list. So it's like I gotta almost keep my head down and keep it pushing and hope that nothing escalates from there. And you see in the situation with Ahmaud, I mean, it goes left way too quick, man. 3 gunshots hit that man in the chest and he just falls like it's,
All right. So as far as things that we know that are happening, I know there is a run walk on Friday that they're asking people to do. Hold on one second. I'm trying to find it.
social distancing.
Walk or
Run, walk,
and
jog.
walk 6 feet apart.
There you go. Funny, very funny and fitting. I'm scrolling for that, and I see that LeBron has already commented and said that he's outraged over Ahmaud Arbery shooting, and he said, "quote We're hunted every day." Very, very funny, right? Based on what
Right
we were
on
just
time.
talking about. I'm trying to find the details. Oh, so run, walk, jog on May 8th, which is Friday. So for some of you, you're currently listening to this and you may still have the opportunity to participate. And they're asking people to take video or photo and use the hashtag I run with Maud, MAUD, I run with Maud on Friday. So like I can tell you, I am not a runner, jogger, especially not for a distance, but sure enough, I'll be out there on Friday doing my 2.23 miles at some point in honor of Ahmaud Arbery. So we invite others. I know Fresh will probably be out there because he does his walk, jog, run every day anyway. And then Brett, he's definitely the runner of the group here. So yeah, we'll
Athlete with an F.
I like that. Like my man
Yeah.
2 Chainz. Yeah, man, we definitely gonna get out there and post our activism efforts. Remembering social distancing is still important because we're still in the midst of this crisis. So protect yourselves at all times.
Yeah, because we're more than just podcasters.
Easy.
That is correct.
So, Freshivation, we ready, baby?
Let's do it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. I should hold on.
That's how it goes.
Dang,
trying to
what
get
kind
us
of that
cut
song
off.
is it? But yeah, I opt to rise above negative feelings and ditch negative thoughts. I can let go of old negative beliefs that have stood in the way of my success. Negative thoughts only have power if I allow them. I am no longer a prisoner of negative emotions. I let go of negative feelings about myself or my life and accept all that is good. I stay strong and in my heart remains at peace. Make sure to rise above the negativity. Allow yourself to be a positive influence on not only your own life, but everybody else's life you encounter, and you will see that your energy and your motion will move in a greater path. That's Freshivation this week. Holla at me.
There it is. Remember, you get this podcast each and every week on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, the videos on YouTube and Vimeo. Follow us on social media at 13th Floor, please, on IG and Facebook. And make sure you leave it in the comments. Let us know what you think. Any subjects or topics you want us to hit on the podcast, let us know. We'll be sure to add those in. Coach K, go ahead and take us home, man.
This week, I think I've been debating on how to come at this week, knowing the 2 topics that we're going to talk about. But I think as a people, we are so enraged about being profiled, yet we profile ourselves and say that this is who I am and this is what I can do. And a lot of times that's just limiting. It's not just self-limiting, but it's limiting to us as a collective when you shortchange what it is that you can put into the world. And look, just stop. Don't be a label. Be a label maker. Because you don't know who you're going to impact. You don't know what doors you're going to open. You don't know who you're going to plant a seed with that will make them grow into something infinitely greater than what they could have been had you not put out whatever that thing is in the world. And if you limit yourself and just say, look, I am this and nothing else, it doesn't work. I remember us being in school and the folks that just came to school and all they did was just study and go to class and take their tests. Man, they work for us. They work for us, who some of us went to class, some of us took the tests, but we were also out there being active in organizations and contributing. And there are people that we have never met in our lives that benefit from the work that we did outside of the classroom today. And they don't know us, we don't know them, but they're benefiting from the work that we put in outside of the classroom. And what I'm trying to tell you is that there are people that will benefit from what you do today that you will never know their name. But if you open up and don't just limit yourself to doing, this is the thing that I do, right? Don't get me wrong. That thing that you do is driven by a gift, a purpose. There are probably several things that you do, right? So again, and I say it all the time, find out your common denominator and use that for the collective good of more than just yourself. The highest reward that you can give yourself is by working for others. Because when you work for others, others will work for you. And more importantly, others will be able to work because of what you do.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. We are done here on the 13th floor where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are.
Welcome to where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views, they are amazing.
It's a 13th floor, yo.